and you want to know which of the three printers out there are the best for you, the resin 3D printers or the filament FDM. And to be honest, there's a lot of things to know. Even, do you know they're dangerous for you? They're not healthy. So have that in mind. There is a lot of things to think about before getting a 3D printer. There are many out there. Doesn't matter which one you get, if it is the resin or the filament, they both have materials that they can be really, really strong. They can be really flexible. They have amazing colors. You can pretty much do everything. So I'm gonna talk about each one, how they work. Even if you get the Resin 3D printer, I've seen people with Resin 3D printers that they create giant robots. The same thing with filament. They can create something huge, even if they don't have this huge printer. Saying that, also both of them, they can print really small. It's impressive how new printers, they're making that the filament printer can create miniatures that are really, really good. So let's talk about the printers. So first of all, the Filament 3D printer, how it works. So you have this bed that I will heat up, and you have this metal plate. This is important because you can switch the metal plate, and you can get metal plates that have patterns. So when you create your print, it will have that pattern, and you can create cool things. So it's all about melting the filament. Something that I love about this type of printers is that you can have filament that have special effects. They have two colors, they have some that they have patterns. So you can create really amazing things with the filaments. Another thing, this printer cannot do it, but a lot of new printers use several pools of filament, meaning that you can print multiple colors at once. You can really decide which eye colors your model will have. You can, if you're creating a creature, you can decide which color is gonna be maybe the belly, maybe the back, maybe if he has an armor. You can exactly say, okay, this filament color is gonna be used for this armor. And that's amazing. That new technology is amazing. Don't be fooled if you go for one of these printers because you want to print in color. And I'm saying this because just pay attention. Normally, they sell those separately. They give you a price, and then, like example, $300 the printer, and then another $300 the kit to put the filament, but they only show the price of the printer. They say $300, but it's only the printer. It's not with the kit with multicolor rolls. You have to buy that separately. That will be another $300. Pay attention on what you get. But basically, the way it works is it has a nozzle on the bottom that is gonna be melting the filament. The way it's gonna create your model is layer by layer by layer. So to create just one layer, the filament, the nozzle has to be melting the filament and create the silhouette first. And after the silhouette is done, it will create the inside. It will fill that gap. So this is important because this technology makes this 3D printer kind of slow. Nowadays, you have new printers that are just being faster. This filament actually is from Jamhe. They sent it to me. And this is a really fast printing filament. So you have also to know that you have different types. Some they can be used on a really fast setting. And after it's done creating all those layers that depending on the size, like this one, okay, this is one of the biggest. It's not the biggest. The Lego has a huge one that can fit in the whole room. And I would love to have that one because you can really print giant things. But this one is in the kind of the biggest side. You can of course get a smaller one. Don't get the really, really tiny ones. You could if you want to, no? That's up to you. But I don't recommend that because it's almost the same price than a medium size. So, and you can do just way more things on a medium size. So, but basically depending on the size, it's gonna be the time that, depending on the size or depending on how many things you have on the bed, it's gonna be the time of the printing. And this type of printers, it can take days. No, if I want to get something the highest possible in this printer, probably will take 4 days to print. Sometimes it's crazy how long it takes. Just have that in mind that you won't have a print in 1 hour. Another thing about this 3D printer that I regret a little bit. I mean, before they were different, but nowadays they're easier to assemble because these ones that are open, you have to assemble them, but they're really easy. It took me like 10 minutes. One of the things also is that you can put this 3D printer anywhere in your house. You can even have it outside. The only downside, depending on where you live, where you put it, is that if you have a lot of humidity, you will have to buy a dryer. So I just got this one. I haven't finished the setup for this, But basically you put your roll in here and you dry it. Something that I may try, but I don't think I can with this huge printer, is that you have holes here that you can actually have the filament out and be connected directly to the printer. So you can be printing and it will be all the time, it will be dry and you won't have issues with the moisture. If you have moisture, you can have defects on your print or just it won't print. So that's something that you may have to get. I'm gonna talk about how safety they are on a moment, but pretty much after you have your piece, you're kind of done. Another thing that I didn't like this printer in the past is because you have these big lines, no? Because you can see every single layer that your piece was made of. You have those lines that a lot of people didn't like it. I didn't like it back then. Now people sell prints, sell anything with those lines, and they're kind of cool now. But if you don't want that, if you want to have like a Mandalorian helmet or you want to create an armor and you want to really have that smooth surface, you can do that. You can do that with this printer. Just have in mind that you have to do some post-processing. You will have to sand things. Sometimes I've seen people sanding for 5 hours and then you paint them and they look just amazing, just like if it was from a manufacturing place and not a 3D printer place. So yes, you can. You can pretty much have amazing detail. In this one, the sad part is that even if they're getting really good, really impressive, you're really not going to be able to have a lot of details if you print miniatures. If you're thinking on really do tabletop figures, these printers may not be the best for you, because if you try to sand something that is so tiny, this is a resin figure, but something that is this tiny, I don't know if you be able to see the details. I mean, most likely you will get rid of some of the details. Like I mentioned, they're getting really good creating miniatures, but you can still see the big lines and you can still, and it's just not that smooth like the Resin 3 printer. This was the Neptune 3 Max, the biggest of the kind. And this is the Saturn 4 Plus. These both printers are a Lego. I'm not really telling you to get the Lego printers. They're good, but there are many out there. They're amazing printers from Anacubic, Reality, Bamboo. It's one of the favorite ones for a lot of people. They're just many amazing printers. These are good. That just happened to be kind of the cheapest in the right moment I bought them, and that's why I have them. But basically the Resin 3 printer work a little bit different. You open the cover and then you just put your resin, and then you have the bed, instead of being on the bottom, is over here on top. So this is important because when you put your figure, when you put your supports, that you have to put support in any of the 3D printers, depending on the model, you are going against gravity. So that's important. So this one pretty much goes down, goes inside the vat. And then the cool part is that it has a screen, UV light, and it will cure the whole layer at once. Just few seconds, the whole layer is gonna be cured, and then it will create layer by layer your piece. Because it's liquid, the bond between layers is just way stronger than the Filament 3 printer. So definitely if you want something stronger, I really recommend Resin 3 printer. If you want something that is so small, it has amazing details that you don't have to sand, definitely Resin 3 printer is really great. One thing that you have to do, and it could be that you need to sand your piece, is the support. The support, depending where you put them, they will leave marks. So you want to get rid of that, you will have to sand it. But basically, when you have your piece, you are not done yet. Because your piece will have a thin layer of liquid resin that you have to remove. So after you take your piece, you have to wash your piece. Depending on the type of resin that you use, you will be able to use water or isopropylic alcohol. Some solutions are out there, even detergent that you can use. So you have options, but you have to wash it. You can do it with a brush, you can do it manually, or you can have a washing and curing station. This is my setup for the curing part. But basically when it's on the washing mode, you have a bucket that just fill it with the solution that you need. You put your piece and it will wash. After it's completely clean, you have to let it dry, and then you're not done yet. You have to cure the resin to make sure that it's completely safe to handle. So this is the curing station set up. You have your UV light, You have your plate that is going around and is curing everything. After that is done, kind of you're ready just to paint or just to give away that piece, or just you're done. Like you can see, you have to buy more things than just the printer to make your life easier. No matter which printer you decide, it's not gonna be that nice like you see a lot of YouTubers just printing and printing and printing and printing. And if you're creating a business, just having all that money rolling, it doesn't work that way. It could, but you need experience, you need to know your printer. But what I'm talking about is that you're gonna have fails. Fail after fail after fail. You're gonna be able to print, you're gonna be able to level everything. And when you think you will never have a fail, suddenly you will have another fail. And this is not to discourage you from getting a printer, but basically you have to know that there are mechanical parts moving on this printer. That causes two things. That you will need to level again, or you will need to replace that piece. Like in the Resin 3 printer, the screen, it has a life. So after it shoots so many layers of light, you will have to replace the nozzle. I just replaced my nozzle in this 3 printer because they call it the blob of death. And basically, it wasn't even, I don't know, it was like my third print, no? And I had to replace the whole nozzle. So there's a lot of things that can happen, a lot of things that you may have to replace. So that have in mind. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. I have shown in this channel how to replace the nozzle for this printer, how to replace the screen for this, not for this one, for the hollowed one that I have. If you want, you can check those videos just to see how easy it is to change them, which kind of it is. And just printing overall, you have to deal with supports. So you will have to have a lot of supports. With the Resin 3 printer, those supports, pretty much you cannot do anything, just throw them away. You can maybe, if you're an artist, to try to put them together somehow and create a sculpture or something, but it's really hard if you have a filament. But if I have, like the filament, if I fail, I can melt this filament, put it on a silicone mold, and voila, I have another piece. Now I can kind of recycle. That's a good thing that you can do. Now let's talk about the quality of both. So follow me. Let's talk about the quality and why it's so impressive that these Resin 3 printers, they do miniature things. So let's check the print. And actually this is a sculpture that I did by hand with clay. I really like this one. This is some of my 3 print items. I designed this soaring blender. Yeah, probably not the best, but just look at quality of the face. Just amazing. Something that you cannot create that on a filament. Not yet. They're getting really good. I also designed this axe on Blender. And also this robot cat that right now is missing a lot of parts because I step on it, but it's another story. So we have here more. There's the one that I was talking about. You can mix color resin, but you cannot decide where exactly. We have this serpent. Look how cool it is. It is just amazing. I have more prints in the back, but I'm going to show you over here. There's a door that I also designed it on Blender and I printed. One important thing is look how tiny and fragile this is. I don't think a Filament 3 printer can do this yet, or maybe some of the new ones, but not with this quality. This is the test that I always recommend people to print, to calibrate their printer. Look at this Thanos. The face is even smaller than my nail. Have Pantro. Look, just the details. Just the details. It's just amazing. You can see also this dragon and this Thanos. Can you see that face? That's something that a Filament 3 printer won't be able to do. Now I have more prints over here. I know you can see it. Some Naruto, some Fells. It's actually polymer clay. Another of my door that I create. Here's a smaller. We have here some Avengers. I don't know, you can really see the details. They're a little bit light here. But it's just amazing. Look this Eevee. You can see compared to my nail. So tiny, but it's so perfect. Those tiny details, those ears wouldn't work. It would go all the way over here. Look, this Mew. And this from the Cantina, from Star Wars. So tiny, and it has good details. And it works. I don't know, you can see it. So for sure, oops, that one is dead now. And like I mentioned, many other types of, you have different material that you can choose, just like the filament. Okay, so that's the resin 3D printer. Now let's check. This is maybe not a fair comparison because I'm gonna show you things that can be printed really big. No, comparing to a resin to a filament. And to be honest, it's not fair because this one is huge. But what I want to show you just is the quality. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I'm going to put some photos, but you can see the lines. You can see clearly the lines. Still amazing. No, it's a great product. I have here another dragon. Like I say, it's impressive just because of the size, but it doesn't have a lot of details on the face. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but this is the face. And comparing to the other dragon that I show you, even if this is big, it doesn't compare the details. So this 3D printer is great for people that want to create fidget toys, that want to create things like for cosplay, that want something that is friendly, easy to use, like this helmet that I've done. To be honest, if you want to create a helmet, you can create a full one. A resin 3D printer, like I mentioned, this is big. And I created a mask for my cat, and it was almost as big as the bed. And it was tiny. It was tiny, it didn't even fit my cat. So I know this impossible to create in a resin 3D printer unless it's a huge, more expensive one. Maybe I can cut it in pieces and do it. It's doable, but it's just not gonna happen that easy like this one. So that's something that you have to have in mind depending on what you want. If you are trying to create a business or just to print things that are really strong, that has a lot of details, and that you want that smoothness, resin 3D printer. If you want to create things that you don't care about the finishing, or that you know you're gonna have to put the work and you want things that are easy to kind of put together, glue together, definitely this is great. A lot of business they use this 3D printer because it's really friendly. You are done and you're done. I'm gonna make a video. Subscribe if you want to see how this is gonna turn out. I'm gonna stand there, I'm gonna fix some things, and then I'm gonna paint it. Those are the quality. Let's talk about safety. So with this 3D printer, like I mentioned before, it could be anywhere in your house. The bed does get warm. It cannot really get that warm like the nozzle. The nozzle, if you touch it, you can really get probably 3rd-degree burns or more. But the bed, don't touch it, please. But it can get really warm. And of course, if you have a kid, you have a cat, you have a dog that can reach that bed, it could happen. So just have that in mind, where you put it or how you put it. Another thing we're talking about filament is PLA is one of the most friendly ones. Like I said, with this printer, I can print something like ABS, which is the plastic that the Lego are made of. And if you have a step on a Lego, you know how strong they are. So if I wanted to print with one of those, the smoke they produce is really toxic, really toxic. I will have to have a mask. I will have to have it in a place that I'm not gonna sleep. I'm not gonna have an office on a place that is gonna be ventilated. With PLA, actually, I have it here in my office. Comment below if you want me to do like a tour. It's not the best, but I have it here all the time with me. And to be honest, and even if it is kind of safe, you don't want to be here and smelling everything. Plastic that is being melted. I did some research. Don't quote me on that. Please comment if you know more about this. But I investigated and it looked like you can have it close to like a fishbowl. If you have a reptile, if you have any kind of pet, that it will stay close to the printer for a long time or all its life. It could be safe with this type of printer, with this type of filament. Of course, it's always recommended to have a good ventilation. I have to say that this printer, the smell will cover one room maybe a hallway, maybe 2 rooms at the most, depending how much you're printing, how many printers you have. I've seen people in tiny apartment, they have 10 small printers of this type. And they're fine. Like I mentioned, only if you print really strong materials, it will be really dangerous and you don't want to print that. So technically this printer is really friendly. I've seen people even have them in their room. Like I mentioned, I don't recommend that unless you put it close to a window, you open the window. I really recommend if you do that. If you just print when you're going to school, when you're going to work, when you're not in that room, or at least have really good ventilation. Now, talking about this printer. This printer, you have to know the resin, the liquid resin is really, really toxic. We talk about just putting your resin on your printer, taking off your print, wash them and curing. All that process has to be done with gloves. You have to be using gloves, you have to be using mask, you have to be careful. I have a plastic mat over here, silicone mat, to protect, just in case something is spilled, I can clean it really fast and easy. And that's important because, like I mentioned, liquid resin is really toxic. And of course the fume, this one, and not to discourage anyone, they have filters. You can buy an air purifier. And even there's a guy that I'm gonna try maybe, he creates his own air purifier with a fan and some filters. And he can measure air and it looks like he really cleaned the air around your printer. So you can do a lot of things to prevent to have that issue. But for sure the smell will cover everything. If you live in an apartment, your whole apartment is gonna smell. It's gonna smell. If you live in a house, almost part of the house is gonna smell. If you have a window open and you have air, that will help. Remember, this is a resin 3 printer, so it prints with UV light. So you cannot have this printer close to a window. You have close to a window, even if it has this UV protector, it could be that it cures some of the resin inside and you have failed print. So I don't recommend that. This for sure is toxic. It's not recommended to have pets that live beside this printer because the fume can really make them sick. This one I haven't seen. No, my cat was curious about the noise, but it never really came close. I don't know, because of the smell. Resin 3 printer, it's kind of annoying, not only because of the process that you have to do, but you have to be careful with all those fume and that liquid resin. That's why for beginners, I really recommend, and I regret not getting a filament printer when I started a lot of years ago, because I would have probably done already many things. To be honest, just the thought of cleaning my printer when it fails, that I know I have to get rid of the fail, I have to clean all the parts of the bed, I have to clean the bed, I have to clean just to get rid of the fail. Now I have to cure it too, because it's not recommended just to dump the liquid resin because it's toxic. The best thing is to cure it, and then you can just discard the plastic, which is still not good, but sadly that's how it worked for now. And you also have to clean the vat. You also have to put back the liquid resin. You have to have even a filter to be able to make sure that when you put back the liquid resin, nothing else goes inside and you can reuse it. So there's a lot of process cleaning it just to print again. It could take 20-30 minutes. And to be honest with this one, just this fell. Right away I saw that one part wasn't sticking to the bed for some reason, and I knew when the nozzle was gonna go around, it was just gonna make it fail. So the only thing I had to do is stop the printer. It came out right away, and I was ready to print again. And of course I will check my settings and everything to make sure it will print correctly this time. But it was so easy. It's so easy. Even if you have a mess and everything, and you can just get rid of it, clean it. Even the blob of dead was easy to clean. All that stuff is still, if I have fell on a Resin 3 printer, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna touch the printer for a week. In this one, it fails. I don't care. I know in a few minutes, I can have it back printing. And again and again and again. So I'm not worried about fails. And also if I'm looking, the fail is not gonna waste a lot of filament, which this one, the printer are getting better and they claim that new ones, you won't have fails. Well, you will still have fails, but for sure, I cannot really see, even if this one has a camera inside, I don't have it connected to the online, and you have to do a lot of things also to set it up. but it's supposed to detect when it fails. It's supposed to do a lot of things, but when it fails, it has to get out of the vat, and basically, when it sees that it failed, you already have a chunk of resin that is wasted, which over here I can kind of supervise, and sometime right away I know that it's not going to work. I have more flexibility. Look for your printer that you want. If it is a filament or a resin, you already know what they can do. So hopefully this was helpful. Enjoy 3D printing. I know it could be a hassle, but it's also rewarding. So enjoy art, enjoy 3D print, and see you next time.